Hello, it's Nikki and welcome back to the final part of this 360 check-in. I want to ask you some personal questions. This is the personal part where you really pay attention to yourself. And I think that in a world where there's so much business advice or how to do something successfully, I think so many of those formulas, they forget about the personal. They forget that we are all unique, bespoke, individual human beings. And so I want to ask you, for you, where are you up to? How are you feeling? And I want you to think about not only what you know of yourself, but what you know that you're capable of. So sometimes I will have a moment with myself and be like, I'm not really feeling myself, but I do know that if I do this, and this, like I've got enough kind of tools and techniques now to get me to a place where I can kind of get back on track. But then that's just taking me to that kind of surface once again. If I want to then go to the next level, I know I need to think about things in a different way. And so I want you to recognize where you need to look at your steadiness. And I always talk about this because I think that foundations are really, really important. Those things that become part of the framework, those steady things that you can rely on are really, really important. It's almost as though, if you ever take a kid to a strange place for the first time, they're always looking for those points where they have things that are relatable. So the adult that they're with, or their own cuddly toy, or their favorite book, or their blanket, or their buggy, they become really attached to those things. And I think that in order to grow and to open your surroundings, that's the way forward. Likewise, if you're in yoga and they say tree pose, which is, I'm sitting in a big chair so I can't really show you, but standing on one leg, putting one foot either against your calf or not your knee, but just above it, or into the inner thigh situation, and it's bent, and you put your hands in prayer. And then the next kind of levels of that are that you open up the branches and you move them around, and you can close your eyes and you can build on it in that way. You can only do that if you have your first foot firmly planted in the ground. And so I want you to think about your relationship with steadiness right now, and to take it seriously, and to get back to a space and a place where your needs are met once again. Because we can all say, I really want to do this, or this is where I want to go next. But actually, until we are really secure and steady in the basics, it's really hard to grow. I want to ask you what you are measuring. So things such as a habit build is great, as in like ticking something off. But if you begin that consistency with a habit, you have to then know what that means. So what are you measuring? What are you optimizing for? Where do you really want to see growth and change and shifts? Next, what needs your attention? So one of the things may have come up in conversations, for example, where other people around the table are talking about something and you suddenly have that dawning of like, oh, I really need to look at this actually. Or that had never occurred to me before, and oh, maybe I need to do that. Or maybe you're sitting around a table with loads of business owners and they're all talking about how they make passive income, and you know that you don't have a product to sell. All of these elements will be really important. Finally, what do you need to nourish and nurture so it grows? It's very easy to write down a fresh goal on a piece of paper and say, I really want this. However, we know that's not the first like the full story of it. We need to figure out how we're going to take the first step. And the way in which to do that is to work out what this needs, how to get it in flow. So it's almost like when you bring a bunch of flowers home, you know that you need to get them in water fairly quickly. You probably need to chop the ends off. You need a vase that's going to support them. You need to put them in a place where they've got enough space to bloom and also get that sunlight that they need. You're cultivating how you do this. Likewise, the food that you bring into your house, does it need to go in the fridge? Does it need to go in the cupboard? It probably needs to come out of the plastic if it's been in the plastic. How quickly does it need to be eaten? What does it then go with? All of these questions are really, really important. It's not enough just to say, I love fresh flowers. We have to take the action to cultivate the environment for them to flourish. So let's have a think about this. I would love you to question it. Oh, couple more questions. I want you to think about where you are running things on outdated software. Now, this may be even more prevalent when you're in a family situation because your family or your friends like to see you as they've always seen you. And I've seen this so often that even though I have an adult friend who is a grown-up in their 40s and say they're the youngest child, the parents of that child, of that woman in their 40s, will still almost like, are you going to be all right? Like, do you need a lift? Do you need this? They might kind of treat them in that way, forgetting about that. And then what that may lead to is they second guess whether or not they can do things when they know they absolutely can. I would love you to ask yourself where you're blocking and stopping your progress. And maybe you are doing this very subconsciously and you have no idea. Or you might be like, I keep doing that thing. I keep overworking. I keep overbooking. I keep saying yes too much when I know I need to say no. I know I keep like starting things and I need to finish things and like, oh, I know that I'm doing all these things. So I want you to explore here. How and why do you know that you're blocking and stopping yourself? Then think about what needs to change and where do you notice it coming up? Do you know why it comes up? Sometimes it might be that people keep creating these content plans and they only ever live on a spreadsheet. They never come out because they will then say, oh, I need another idea, or that's not going to work, or the algorithm will hate that. When in fact, what they're saying is, I feel too scared to share that. I don't want to be vulnerable right now. I'm a bit terrified about that. So I'm just not sure. I would love you to think about that and see how it lands today. If you want to come and join, activate and illuminate, there is a special code which is spring, and you can get a lovely juicy discount if you want help and support with your personal brand. And yeah, I would love to help you. Send me a message, let's book in a call and let's get going. Lots of love. See you next time. Bye.